Guess who? Back again with my, well, it's actually my fourth of six. My fourth of six requested game reviews. This one requested by one of my other good friends, thegamingsorrow. And this is of a very, I'm not sure if it was well known or not because I didn't really see many commercials on it. Actually, I didn't see any commercials on it, so what do you know? This is a review of Deus Ex Invisible War for the Xbox. Now, if you remember from one of my previous videos, this and one other of my regular Xbox games were ones that wouldn't work on my 360. However, I don't know if it will now, since it came out with a few updates and whatever. But first off, here's why a lot of gripes that everyone immediately had with this game. They right off the bat they said that this game is not as good as the original Deus Ex. While I do agree with them on that aspect, a lot of their reviews, like on GameFAQs, IGN, whatever, a lot of reviews were affected by opinions thinking that, oh, this isn't as good as a prequel. Whenever you review a game, you shouldn't compare it to a prequel, unless it's absolutely necessary, which is rarely the case. Just review the game as, you know, the game itself is. Don't compare it to another game. Then, of course, you're going to raise it or lower its score or whatever. Like comparing the Halo 3 to Halo 1 or Halo 2 to Halo 1 or, you know, whatever. But, as for the ones who didn't, this game was really well, I mean, as you can see, I'm grabbing the box for the third time now. It received a 9.1 score on Xbox.com, or no, Xbox Magazine, as Editor's Choice. And I got this at a closeout sale back when the video game store was called Rhino. And it still sold classic games before getting monopolized by GameStop, but that's a later video. So, the story of this game, you are an operative named Alex D. Now, this is the male version. You can choose a male or a female Alex D. And you're basically just, you're in these apartment complexes called Tarsus Apartments. And immediately there's this terrorist attack going on by this socialization known as the Order, who are a bunch of what are referred to in the beginning of the game by a certain character as religious fanatics. Now, the story of this game is way too intricate to go into complete detail, so I'll nutshell it as best as I can. Basically, this is one of those games where you can choose what side you're on. And by the end of the game, you can take the sides of 4 different organizations. Either the Omar, who are a sect who have been heavily affected by these things called biomods, which are items that basically screw with your DNA and give you these superhuman powers, whether it's night vision or X-ray vision or able to hack into computers with your mind. You know, that is one. That's actually one of the black market biomods. And they're a sect. They're they're very renegade. I mean, they're very renegade. And they're looking to their main goal is to basically biomod everyone in the world and get rid of the weakest. I mean, it's basically survival of the fittest for them. The second group is what is known as the Illuminati. Now, the Illuminati, of course, was a real organization that was founded in the 1780s by Adam Weishaupt. And I'm not sure what the Illuminati were in real life, but or give me descriptions or whatever you want if you know what they are. But in this game, the Illuminati are also praising biomodification to humans, but they don't want to forcefully implement biomods to everyone like the Omar does. Well, I mean, they don't really forcefully, but more so than the Illuminati. What they want is just a team of elite humans who are biomodified to install. They control this huge space platform called Ophelia, which is basically this giant camera that monitors all life in Earth and makes sure that everything is going according to plan. There's no crime. It's basically a Death Note organization. They want to make sure there's no evil in the world. Everyone is living in, you know, happy cities, whatever. And they have skyscrapers overlooking all of society to make sure, you know, everything is just spick and span, everything is going right to plan, nothing is going wrong at all. And that's what their goal is. And the Illuminati actually started out as the Order mixed in with members of the WTO, the World Trade Organization, which was also an organization, very controversial organization, I might add, that was protested heavily back in 1995. Next group, the Knights Templar. Again, a real organization, way centuries ago, founded by, who was it by? Hugh DePan and who this other guy, as this is in real life, named Philip the Fair, drove them into the underground. They are basically purists, or puritists. They keep saying purity will prevail, and their goal is complete anti-biomodification. They're basically a dictatorship. They're basically saying, if you have any trace of biomodification in you whatsoever, then you're impure and must be exterminated. If you don't have any, and you're willing to join them, they say you're pure of body and soul and mind, and they're basically weeding out everybody who has biomodification by force. I mean, they're just killing them. So they want no biomodification because they believe that purity of the body means, DNA is not to be tampered with at all. It's supposed to be kept as it was when you were born, the way God made it, as they said. And the final group is Apostle Corps. Not a real-life organization this time. It's an organization that was founded by one of the main characters in the game that you don't find until like over the halfway mark, who you realize is actually a relative of the character you play. But I'm not going to get into that. And they believe, and then this another group praising biomodification, and instead of forcefully implementing it like the Omar want to do, they're basically wanting to use it to install, or they want to implant it into the mind of every single human on Earth, just to increase the power of their minds, to be able to basically telepathically communicate with others, to create a better, a more well-kept society without having to rely so heavily on what they believe is a government or corrupt government officials. So those are the four sides. Gameplay in this game, it is a first-person shooter, but not all it is. It's also like a first-person adventure. I mean, you get all these different weapons. I mean, you have everything from a pistol to a bolt caster, which fires toxin darts, flamethrower, rocket launcher, and then you also collect weapon mods, which either can silence firepower, increase firepower, all that. And you also find biomods, and there is a huge array of biomodifications to choose from. And you're looking for biomod canisters or black market biomod canisters, which give you these really cool powers. Although they're considered illegal, they're also more expensive than the usual. And like I said, you're basically just joining whatever side you want, and you get these objectives that can go two different ways in the game. I mean, they're contradictory a lot of the time. And you basically choose what side you want to cooperate with. Now, it's not always like that. Sometimes there's just one objective, and you have to complete it whether you want to or not. And the status of the game is affected by your gameplay a lot of the time. I mean, your actions can definitely influence what happens next. Graphics in this game has very, very good graphics, I think. Very realistic looking in some aspects. The lighting is really good, shading is good. In the first main level in Seattle, when you go to Lower Seattle, it really looks, it's supposed to be a really slummy part of Seattle. There's an Upper Seattle and a Lower Seattle. Lower Seattle is a slummy area, and it looks rare. There's winos everywhere. There's trash cans on fire to keep warm by. It has all that kind of stuff in it. And there's just so much in this game that's way too complicated to go into. So, as far as what I think of the game, now, as you may have noticed in my previous two reviews, I didn't give scores for the games. That's because I'm not really giving scores. Well, actually, I kind of forgot to. I'll leave those in the descriptions. But for this game got a 9.1. I'm going to give it a 9.3. I think the only things that really hurt it were, one of the things that hurt it was this thing called universal ammunition. Basically, that means one type of ammo clip is ammo for every weapon you have, and it's clip shaped, which you would think would only work for a pistol, but it works for everything: a flamethrower, rocket launcher, bolt caster, sniper rifle, you name it. That one clip powers up every type of weapon you can possibly get. So that is pretty unrealistic. And the game is rather long. It's rough. Well, not really that long. It's roughly 12 hours, which is pretty long for a first-person shooter / adventure game. But all in all, it's an extremely good game. I would definitely advise getting it. I don't know how hard it is to find, but if you can find it, I would definitely say buy it, order it, or whatever. It's a very good game. So with that completes my 4 out of 6 reviews, and my next one should be coming up in a few minutes. So until then, Metroid, once again, signing off.